Welcome in, Big Ten backers. We got a big ass show for you, dump truck style like always.
Hell yeah, man, welcome. Big games, big upsets. Man, there were some great games this weekend. If you missed it, what the hell you been doing? You got to get back on that TV and watch it on record on YouTube or something, man, because there were some upset specials, dude. Get to it. Let's go.
Oh man, let's get that little intro video going, man. But yeah, if you missed it, man, oh man, you took a little snoozy Saturday, thought it wasn't going to be a big one, but check out this video and get you an idea of what went down.
Here come the fans. 27-17, your final at Husky Stadium.
They could beat number 11 USC, and they just did. What a party here in Minneapolis. Minnesota, its first top 25 home win since 2021.
Scrambles and is shoved out of bounds. No time left. Arkansas.
Hey, I had to play it again, man. Vanderbilt over Bama. 5 of the top 11 go down, man, and almost a 6 with Miami just barely scraping by. It was a hell of a weekend. So much fun to watch. Man, at the beginning of the week, I was, again, at a Pee Wee football game looking at Missouri. Missouri's getting their butts stomped, man, trying to watch that game and watch Pee Wee football, watch the game, watch Pee Wee football. Had to time it perfectly so I could watch each and every play. It was awesome.
Yeah, I debated not getting up at 2 a.m. to get these football games started, and I was like, nah, I can't do it, man. I got to get up and watch these games. Even though the morning ones were kind of a slow moving, but man, Missouri definitely got handed to him. Let's get into that. What you got for me, Beef?
Big upset of the day, number 1. Midwest Cornfest game of the week, man. SC. Whew. Talk about them for me, man.
Number 11. SC goes down, goes out to Minnesota, and the Gophers take down the Trojans with 14 unanswered in the fourth to win this one 24-17. Moss, man. Moss threw 300 yards. Twice in his first 4 games. Moss in this one, though. Man, that Minnesota defense. He was only 23 of 38 for 200 yards, 1 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions against a team that entered as the best defense in FBS when it comes to the pass. And, boy, they did not let that stat go to waste because, man, they put USC on their asses.
Oh, man. Speaking of putting them on their asses, Darius Taylor had a hell of a game knocking people over onto their booties. 200 yards in the game, including 144 on the ground with 25 rushes. And, man, he led that comeback. He was their leading rusher and their leading receiver. He was Mr. Everything in this game. 56 yards receiving for a total of 200 yards. Man, those stats were easy to add up. 56 yards, 144 yards, makes it 200, nice and easy.
Man, oh man, you weren't playing though. Yeah, Minnesota upset USC 24-17 on Brosmer's 4th and goal sneak with 56 seconds left. His 3rd rushing touchdown of the day. Brosmer gets 3 on the ground, man. He also went 15 for 19, 169 yards. But man, the officials in that game, man. Oh, they ruled him short at first. They said no touchdown. They had to review that thing for it seemed like forever. But they finally overturned the play, give Brosmer his 3rd touchdown, and boy, Beeve, what happened from there?
Oh, man. I was watching the Michigan-Washington game at the time. You were watching Minnesota-USC. We kind of divide and conquer a little bit so we can each get eyes on some of the games. And you're like, dude, you got to switch this over. And I was like, all right. So I paused the Michigan and Washington game, went over, checked it out, and man, am I glad you talked me into that, man. SC out of timeouts. Miller Moss marching the Trojans down the field before his prayer of a pass to Deuce Robinson into double coverage was picked off by Coy Parrish, man. Woo! And that was a hell of a catch. Some people have posted a picture of it. Dude was in the air. He is a Minnesota native, so getting that in the end zone, boom, the Gophers win it. And that was a good old-fashioned crowd rushing the field. Holy cow, storming the field, celebration, huge win. Row that damn boat, man. Row it.
Yeah, PJ Fleck was rowing, man. And USC, man, they kind of look like the darling after beating LSU. Everybody got on that hype train, and 2 Big Ten games later, and oh, man, not looking so hot.
Oh, so are they back? Or
back to where they were last year?
They still got a little bit of a tough schedule coming up. They got Penn State next week, so boy, oh boy, you better watch out. You can't get 3 in the Big Ten to start off the season. That would be rough.
This is how we feel about USC right now.
Oh no! We suck again!
Hell yeah!
No
Let's get it.
Them Trojans, man, no good.
Let's get into another upset. That wasn't it.
No, man, it was upset Saturday, so we got to keep on rolling with these upsets, man. Number 10, Michigan, and much of the trend of Saturday, like we said, upsets on the road, and Washington gets revenge and takes down the Wolverines 27-17. My boy, Will Rogers, man, I feel like he's the only threat for Washington, and he keeps getting it done. He threw 271 yards, threw a pair of touchdowns. He did throw a pick in this game, his first pick, and 269 consecutive pass attempts, man. This guy's been extremely safe with the ball. But Ernest Hausman got him, man. First time in 269 attempts.
Man, the Huskies built a 14-0 lead early in that second quarter. Then that lead evaporated. Michigan finally found a heartbeat, man. Went to backup quarterback, Jack Tuttle. Man, the whole internet was exploding with Michigan fans. Be like, we found our guy. We found our guy. After, first of all, Warren couldn't do it. Alex Orji was ineffective. So they changed. They were able to grab a quick 17 points on consecutive drives. But Tuttle, man, the story of Michigan this year. 2 turnovers in the final 10 minutes. Tuttle fumbled with 8 minutes left, 8:02 to be exact, and left after being hit by Von, and I might not pronounce this correctly, Tunifi on the next possession. And Tuttle was intercepted again with 3:24 remaining to kind of seal the game for those Huskies, man. The dogs are back, and they got their revenge from the title game last year.
Yeah, and Fish said that they needed the defense to step up. They were kind of struggling in the game, and the defense responded, and we needed them to. That was his exact quote. Man, the turnovers, 13 unanswered points on those turnovers. Washington, 2 field goals for Grady. Gross on a touchdown run, and Jonah Coleman, another one. Man, Washington, those 13 unanswered points, boom sauce, baby.
Yeah, Jonah Coleman's legit. I like watching him run the ball, man. This loss, though, for Michigan, it snapped a 24-game Big Ten regular season win streak. The Huskies entered this with the slightest bit of redemption built. They needed it, man. They needed to get redemption for last year, and they got it, man. So, is this a national championship game? Is this redemption? Does this matter as much? No, absolutely not. But hey, it still feels good to beat someone you hated from last season, right?
Oh, big time. Big time. Tell me more about that passing game of Michigan.
Well, man, they went quarterback to quarterback to quarterback, and they got their man, Tuttle. You think that's their man now? You think they got a passing game now?
Well, what the hell kind of short bus special needs, nose-picking, booger-eating kind of question is that? Pretty goddamn obvious, numbnuts.
It's no. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Damn, man. Michigan, they've gone through 3 quarterbacks in 6 games. Not 1, not 2, but 3 quarterbacks in 6 games. No one's doing it for them, so I don't know where you go from here. I guess you stay with Orji, maybe? I don't even know what to do. I mean, it's confusing to me.
I think you stay with Tuttle, man. He to me, he looked like
he showed promise.
He brought some life back into that game. But then in the fourth quarter, man, it came unraveled on the turnovers, like you said. But I think he's the best answer because at least he can stretch the field a little bit to open up the running game. You've seen both the running backs from Michigan have a pretty damn good day.
To me, I think you stick with your identity. You stick with Orgy. He got you the game against USC at home. Big game. Got you the win. It was off his back. And I don't know. You go with the winning quarterback. I don't like turnovers, man. Turnovers are the great equalizer. You can lose to anyone with turnovers. So I stay away from anyone who's turnover prone. That's just my opinion.
No doubt about it. That definitely changed the game, man. That was obviously Michigan was making the comeback. But that comeback was on the arm of Tuttle. Now the turnovers was Achilles' heel, I guess.
But hey, before we go any further, we got to get to the elephant in the room, and that elephant led to a big ass dump truck of a game. Holy shit! Bama goes down, dude. Bama goes down.
Bama on the road versus Vandy. What's the worst that could happen, right? Oh wait, it's an upset. Upset Saturday strikes again, man. Bama got that stone cold Vandy stunner. Vandy wins it 40-35. Where are them goalposts at, Beef?
They're in the bottom of the river. Actually, I saw a video of someone fishing them out. So they got them out. Someone, I don't know if it was a city worker or what, but I saw them putting it on trailers. They went all the way downtown Nashville, through the streets, and into the river. Awesome, man. Just awesome for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt scored 13 points off a Heisman contender, Jalen Milrose. 2 turnovers, man. The second strip sack was by Miles Capers and recovered by Yalanan Quatara. Maybe that's the correct pronunciation, but I doubt it. At midfield, so man, oh man. Vandy quarterback Pavia Diego. He was on fire, man. 16 of 20 for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not only that, he added 20 carries for 56 yards. Boy, this dude was the calmer of the Tides. There weren't no rolls in those Tides. You didn't see no white caps. It was flat, man. Ooh,
this game was almost all Vandy, man. Vandy came out, scored the first 13 points of the game. They took a 16-point lead before Bama's running back, Jam Miller, trimmed that lead 23-14 at the half, man. Alabama was able to pull it tight with a score from Milroe to Williams. Get used to that connection and made it 30-28. But, man, the Commodores would grab 10 more points just to secure the win, man.
And not only that, running back Cedric Alexander, 21 carries, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Eli Stower, 6 receptions for 113 yards. Man, you got to love that. You got to love that for Vandy. Woo. From the bottom to the top, and here they are, beating number 1.
Vanderbilt, man, they never even trailed in this game. They held the ball for over 42 minutes. Alabama had the yardage edge, 312 to 252, but that didn't matter to Vandy. They said, you know what? We'll just go 12 for 18 on third down, and we'll just beat up this Bama defense.
This is historic. Vanderbilt lost 60 games against top 5 teams. 60 straight. All 60 games they've ever played against top 5 teams. 0-60. Not anymore, man. 1-60. 1-61. Holy cow. Sorry, I should say 1-60. The Commodores hadn't beaten Bama in 40 years. Count it, 40 years. That is an insane stat. That's an insane stat. They snapped a 23-game skid, making big plays after big plays. Clark Lee, man, at his alma mater, biggest win ever. And they took the field, goalposter down, carried them out the stadium, goalposter in the river, the Cumberland River. And man, 2 miles they carried it to the Cumberland River. How awesome. How awesome is that?
Man, this is college football. This reminds me of the last time Bama went into Tennessee and played them, and some goalposts found a river a few years ago. I cannot talk tonight. I apologize.
It's this morning.
This morning.
Tonight where you are.
I've only been up since 2 a.m. to almost 11:15 p.m.
Damn, boy. You got to get some sleep after this.
Doing some work, man. Let's move on, man, because you know what? It was Upset Saturday, and the story does not end there, Beeve.
Wait, there's more?
There's always more. Like I said, let's keep it going, man. Razorbacks, this time, taking on a ranked team at home. Number 4, Tennessee on the road. And, well, you know the story. Arkansas sends the Vols back to Tennessee with the loss, winning this one 19-14. Man, let me tell you about that backup quarterback. Arkansas's quarterback, Green, completed 19 of 27 passes, 266 yards. But then he had to leave the game because he got injured. And then the Vols quarterback, man, he was 16 for 28, 156 yards. And then the Tennessee running back, Sampson, ran for a game-high 140 yards on 22 carries. It looked like Tennessee was going to run away with this point. Arkansas lost their quarterback. Imoliva was playing good. Their running back was out there getting it. But guess what, B? You got to tell me about that backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback for the Razorbacks comes in, overcomes a 14-3 third quarter deficit to notch their first home win over a top 5 opponent since beating, you guessed it, number 3 Volunteers in 1999, dude. 1999. Man, that doesn't seem like that long ago for me, but when you add it up for years, 25 years ago, holy shit. Singleton, the backup. He led the game-winning touchdown. Singleton completed 2 of 3 passes for 31 yards and ran 4 times for 12 yards for that go-ahead touchdown, man. They didn't miss a beat with Singleton in there.
Not at all, man. He seemed like he was the right man for the job. Jackson added 57 yards rushing and a touchdown on 20 carries, and Andrew Armstrong led Arkansas with 9 receptions at 132 yards. He was balling out himself, man.
So following Singleton's score, the Heisman moment for Nico Iamaleava led the Vols down the field for that comeback to the Razorbacks 20, but pushed out of bounds on 4th and 5. Man, as time expired, game over. 16-yard line. They made it down that far, but dude, hey, if you're going to win the Heisman, you got to come up with some plays at the end of the game to save the team, man. He didn't do it. Heisman's out for him, in my opinion.
Oh, it's definitely out, man. It's tough, though. I mean, he could bounce back, but the yardage, the loss on the road, it's going to be hard for him to bounce back, man. But there was one more upset. This one, though, was not an entertaining game like the rest of them. This one was a straight ass whooping, man. And this one more upset, though. Number 9 Missouri on the road at Texas A&M. Number 25 Texas A&M. I guess I put some respect on that name. Well, the trend continues, and they absolutely destroy the Tigers at home, 41-10. A&M running back Moss ran for a career high 138 yards. Count 'em, be not 1, not 2, but 3 tutties on the ground, man. And Missouri just gets their asses handed to them by A&M. Their first loss of the season, first big win for Texas A&M, the 5th straight win for Texas A&M. After that loss to Notre Dame, Texas A&M was up 24-0 at the half. And as soon as they came out the half, Moss ran for 75 yards and a touchdown just to be like, yo, we ain't playing that second half bull crap.
We ain't playing around. Brady Cook for Missouri had 186 yards with a touchdown, playing in the first road game of the season. Coach Drink, he said he was embarrassed by his team's performance. Well, you know what? You're part of the team, so you should be embarrassed for yourself too, man. Don't blame it on your team. Blame it on yourself, man. You're 40. You're a man. Dude, tell me a little bit more about backup quarterback Connor Wingman, man.
He's not the backup. He's been gone, so he got hurt. He was a starter at the beginning of the season.
He was kind of the backup, I thought.
Yeah. He injured his shoulder, but now he's back, man. Yeah. He missed 3 games, 276 yards in his return. Amari Daniels added 2 rushing touchdowns, man. A&M was all over him, and Connor Wingman is back, baby.
Yeah, man, this game. What do you think? Where is A&M going to be rated after this? Are they going to be rated above Notre Dame? Because they're going to jump like crazy. And
they are going to jump crazy, but they'll probably be smart and leave them right behind Notre Dame. I think there's justification, though, right? Like Notre Dame still has a worse loss than Texas A&M. So
yeah. So let's see where Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is currently ranked 14. Missouri's 9. How far does Missouri fall then? Missouri's got to fall at least 6 spots to 15.
I know. I was going to pick on
16.
Missouri, talking about them being overrated and struggling against Vanderbilt last week, needing a couple overtimes that we beat Vandy. But then we seen what Vandy did, so can't even really say that.
I do think Missouri needs to drop big time, though. They've had a lot of close games, barely pulling one off against BC, barely pulling it off against Vandy. But yeah, Vandy is a good team. I think BC is a good team, but Missouri's obviously overrated. I mean, their body of work speaks for itself. It's not a good team, and this was just a ass whooping. I mean, to add on top of those two close games, you go on the road and drop one like this. What was it, 41-10?
Yeah, 41.
Dude, that's a legit ass whooping, right? You don't deserve to be in the top 25, I don't think.
That's pretty bad. I don't think they'll drop out of the top 25, but they're going to be a fringe. They're going to be a fringe top 25 team for sure.
Yeah, they need to drop into low 20s. I mean, probably my best guess is they're going to be, 18 range, but that's just because they're in the SEC. If they were in any other conference, they drop out.
Right on, man. Let's pay some bills, man. Let's get a little spicy up in here.
Pay them bills.
Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
Gano Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe, we
Hey.
all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Welcome back to Dogs TV. This show is obviously brought to you by the College Football Dogs. Go visit their website, collegefootballdogs.com, and they got all the latest updates, all the latest stories, the best articles you can find on college football, baby. They don't play around. All the podcasts you can listen to as well. But Beeve, tell us what's next.
Man, hey, more and more and more. It is in conference, so let's get to the big on big action, buddy. Big on big.
Let's start off with number 3, Ohio State. Man, they destroy Iowa in the second half. Buckeyes roll the Hawkeyes 35-7. The Buckeyes held only a 7-0 halftime lead, but man, they did not waste any time in the second half. They seized the momentum right away, scoring 21 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, man. Emeka Ibuka, 3 touchdown catches, and Jeremiah Smith again goes up and grabs it with one hand. Well, kind of playing handsy with the cornerback with the other hand. They were both grabbing each other. That one-handed grab, though, whew, man, he is just making a career out of this. It's just like every time you turn around, no big deal. I'm going to posterize someone.
Yeah, let me talk to you about Iowa, man. Cade McNamara fumbled, and linebacker corner Cody Simon recovered it at the Iowa 19. And then guess what? 3 plays later, Howard rushes it in for a touchdown. That Buckeyes D continued with the turnover bug, man. Then they go ahead and intercept McNamara for a interception that led to a touchdown for Mbuka. Then McNamara fumbles again. And this is Emeka's 3rd touchdown, man. They really just fell apart in the third quarter. It was
For sure. I think the Buckeyes defense is just too much. I mean, they are swarming. They're all going to the NFL. The Buckeyes piled up 203 yards rushing. Speaking of people going to the NFL, both those running backs are going to. Quinshon Junkins ran for 78 yards. Travion Henderson, 61. They're not getting big stats, but boy, they look big. But the story of the game was Ohio State's defense. Caleb Johnson comes out talking shit. He doesn't even want an Ohio State offer. He wants to beat them. Well, you know what? You add a little fuel to the fire, and you end up with 19 yards in the first half. And this was the second most prolific running back in college football. He had gained 100 yards plus in each of Iowa's first 4 games, had 206 yards last week. Man, didn't get shit, but did finish with 86 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, it's still quality at the end of the game, but a lot of that was in mop-up duty, that touchdown, especially against Ohio State's second-teamers.
Yeah, they got he probably ate his words in alphabet soup after the game because, man, they shut him down. Absolutely shut him down.
I got to say something before we get out of here, though. Jack Sawyer, man, two Ohio boys had a hell of a game. Sawyer, man, he had forced a fumble, and he was all over the quarterback every single play. They were really after him. McNamara was on his butt the majority of the game. And also Luke Lachey, man, what a comeback for that tight end. He was injured last year. His dad's calling the game. He's a former Ohio State player, on the radio at least. He's calling the game. And Luke Lachey had a hell of a game, starting to come back. That offense doesn't really utilize him like he should be used for Iowa. But, man, it was good to see him do good, too.
Oh, it was. It was. You always got to give a shout-out to your Ohio boys.
Yeah, and especially a guy returning from injury, man. I want to see them have a solid year because he is a first-round NFL-type dude at tight end.
All right, next game. Jonathan Smith takes his team, not Oregon State, back to Oregon, and boy, do they get a beat down. Oregon dominates the struggling Spartans, and the Ducks take down Michigan State 31-10. It was sloppy on both sides.
Extra sloppy.
Extra sloppy. Sloppy Joe. Gabriel had a pair of interceptions. The Spartans fumbled the ball on the verge of scoring in the first half. I mean, the Spartans entered this game with 13 turnovers, third most in the nation, and that trend just continued because they kept coughing the ball up.
And Michigan State's one of the worst offensive teams in the nation, and they just showed it again, man. Couldn't get any points on the board, but you got to give it to the Ducks. Gabriel threw those awful picks inside the red zone, so it made the score a lot closer than it should have been at halftime, but he came back, he responded. He was 20 of 32 and finished with 257 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had one on the ground. Jordan James, though, a beast of a running back, low center of gravity, gets those legs turning. As they said on the broadcast, he's running behind his pads. Career high, 166 yards and a touchdown. Loved watching him run. That offensive line was opening up holes and coming together as a unit really well. Their new center has been phenomenal. Looks like all world to me. I mean, this is a first-round draft pick at center, too. Tez Johnson caught 10 passes for 81 yards and a touchdown. I kind of loved how they opened up the game going deep to Tez, too, even though they didn't complete it. Spread out that defense a little bit, and they're like, whoa, boys got some speed.
They do have some speed, man. That next week's going to get real interesting. But this was the third straight loss for Michigan State, spoiling Smith's return to the state of Oregon. And, boy, I heard there was Oregon State fans at this game just so they could boo their former coach. Oregon fans obviously hate this man, too, so he was getting absolutely no love.
Oh, for sure.
Stadium, man.
Yeah, and he shouldn't get any love, right? He played for Oregon State. He coached for Oregon State. Got a win against Oregon, so why would he get any love? But Dan Lanning, he was like, we're celebrating until midnight, and then we're putting this one to bed because it's time to turn our attention to the Buckeyes. That showdown is heating up, man. Basically, both teams, their first team defense didn't allow a point this week, so they're ready, man. Both lines, the offensive line's coming together for Ohio State. It's coming together for the Ducks and looks awesome. It looks like almost like it should have to start the season. Like they had a bunch of returners, a bunch of experienced veterans there. It's looking like it's shaping up good. The Ducks head into a meaningful, this showdown's, beyond meaningful. This is epic. I mean, I wish I was going to be there. It's been circled on the schedule forever. I was going to go, and then we had some follow-throughs or some problems because you're overseas, so we decided not to go to many games this year, but we'll bring that back. This is just going to be epic, man. I might even just end up going at the last minute. It's going to be that good.
Yeah, I wish I could join you, man. I know we've been planning this trip ever since we found out Oregon was coming to the Big Ten. We were talking about getting out there for this game, especially when we seen the schedule release. But damn, I had to be overseas, man.
Yeah, damn you. I could go out there by myself and have a good time. I think it's that good of a game.
I'm sure you could, man. All right, let's talk about UCLA versus Penn State. Penn State welcomes in the busted-up Bruins. Penn State beats down the Bruins 27-11. Drew Aller threw for 237 yards with a touchdown and ran for another score. They were playing without their star running back, Nick Singleton, so that meant Katron Allen had to carry the load. He had 21 carries, 78 yards, and had himself a tutty. But Liam Clifford balled out, man. Only needed 3 catches to ball out, too. That's what the crazy thing is. 3 catches, 107 yards. He was getting it.
Dude, Aller was accurate. He was timely, and the defense forced 4 punts, 2 turnovers on downs, and held his 3rd straight opponent to under 100 yards rushing. What more could you ask for, dude? They held the Bruins to 93 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. Man, I got to give UCLA a little bit of credit, man. They've had a terrible, absolutely atrocious schedule, and they're still fighting, man. They're fighting hard. They're fighting for Coach Foster, so I got to give them credit for that. They're just undermanned right now.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. They keep playing hard on defense, man.
Yeah,
They held
defense is
LSU
tough.
back a little bit. They held Penn State back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This defense has been playing well, but they're not getting any help from the other side of the ball, man. The UCLA offense entered its first Big Ten road game ranked 127th nationally in total offense, dude. 127. That's how bad this offense is. They did manage to get 260 in this game, but, man, Penn State had 7 tackles for a loss and put that UCLA defense in bad situations because they just completely shut down the offense.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play complementary football. But, enough of this game. We're going to see a little bit more from Penn State against USC next week. We got to get on to those Hoosiers, man. Holy Hoosier. 6-0. Craziness.
Yeah, man. Indiana, who saw this coming? No one saw this coming, man. Number 23, Indiana piles it on Northwestern in the 4th. Hoosiers, 41. Wildcats, 24. Them Hoosiers go over 40 again, Beef. And our boy, Curtis Rourke, threw for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. Where is the Heisman hype for Curtis Rourke?
Yeah, he's going to need it, man. You got to get him on that Heisman list. The Hoosiers rushed for almost 150 yards, 149 on the ground, with Justice Ellison 68 yards, Ty Lawson 52 yards, each of them getting a touchdown. Surratt, man, he had 135 yards on 7 catches. The Hoosiers match their best start since 1967 at 6-0, baby. What are they going to be rated coming into this week? Holy shit. Hoosiers, man. They are the first bowl-eligible team of the season at 6-0. Awesome.
Now, the Hoosiers, man, they actually got tested in this game. Northwestern was hanging with them for quite a while, man.
Fight.
Jack Lausch, he had himself a bounce-back performance. Threw for over 243 yards. Had 2 touchdowns himself. Bryce Kurtz and A.J. Henning were his favorite targets, man. They combined for 195 yards. So Northwestern, for a good minute, was balling in this game and keeping up with Indiana. Now, they never really put Indiana in any kind of threat, but I think they might have showed the Big Ten a little chink in that Indiana defense armor, man.
For sure. And, I mean, it goes without saying, Braun, man, he was very disappointed in the result. There was some momentum on the offensive side of the ball. They were able to get some critical stops on the defensive side of the ball. But shit, man, it's got to be great to be 6-0. Indiana coach Kurt Cignetti said, I'm not going to say we needed a game like that, but we certainly were tested back and forth like we've not been tested all season. So, I get what he's saying. They needed a little bit of back and forth so they could overcome, so they could be battle tested, so they know where they're at, mentally. How do you overcome these challenges when someone deals you a blow? Do you tuck your tail between your legs or do you fight harder? And they fought harder.
When you're talking about blow, you don't tuck anything between your legs. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Hey, there's different ways of doing everything, man.
All right, let's move on, man. Let's move on. We had another sleeper Big Ten game, man. This one, I don't think got as much love as it should have. I got cotton mouth bad tonight. I apologize. 5-0 Rutgers heads into Lincoln.
You said you got what in your mouth?
Yeah, exactly. 5-0 Rutgers heads to Lincoln to take on the 5-1 Huskers in a sleeper big game. Nebraska holds on late to win this one 14-7. Another Nebraska snoozer game, but man, Dodell Bonner scored on 1-yard runs, and Nebraska leaned on that black shirt defense big time on a day that Dylan Raiola, he didn't have it, man. The freshman quarterback was never able to find any rhythm in this game. He was only 13 of 27, only had 134 yards, all season lows, man, all the way around for Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, this was really a defensive battle all game. 14-7 was the final score. I mean, this is like Big Ten West type results from last year. The Knights struggled for 3.5 quarters on offense. They are just really one-dimensional. They made it a one-score game with 4 minutes left, and Ethan Kaliak-Manis hit Ben Black with an 11-yard touchdown pass. But those black shirt defense, man, they held Kyle Monangai to just Monangai, sorry, I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, to just 78 yards on 19 carries. And Monangai is a beast, man. If you're holding him to 78 yards, goes right up there with Ohio State's defense holding Johnson to 86 yards. I mean, this is great work by that black shirt defense, man. Awesome.
I actually think Greg Schiano made a mistake, man. I think he stopped feeding him a little too early in this game. He had 19 carries, 78 yards. It's 4.2 a pop. It's not a bad, but I think at times they went away from the running game when they shouldn't have. But Rutgers had chances to score but couldn't. The Knights had 2 block punts in this game, dude. You're talking about 2 block punts in a game this close, and they still can't win. They had one that set them up in Nebraska, too. The Nebraska held them out of the zone on 3 straight attempts and stuffed Monangai at the goal line several times, man, on that block.
Monangai, man. Monangai.
Man, he's a guy. Got it.
Man, he is a guy. He's a dude. and Coach Rule, yeah, the Rule Aid's back out. Speaking of that, Rule Aid. It's tasting good again. It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's not quite as good as it was in the beginning of the season, but it's
not as smooth as it was. It's getting a little rougher over time.
Yeah, it's got a bite to it this time. But in many ways, it was a tough day, as Nebraska coach Matt Rule said. Credit to Rutgers, credit to Greg Schiano. They did a ton of things against us, but we didn't turn the ball over but once. They won the turnover battle, and it was a great defensive performance. That's all what Matt Rule said, man. And he's right. They got to win that turnover battle. And penalties, man. Penalties were a big crutch in big games for them, and penalties weren't that bad this game. I don't have the stats for that, but they definitely didn't have as many penalties as they have had in some of their bigger performances.
And then winning the turnover battle, that's great news for Nebraska, because they never do that. Speaking about great defensive performances, let's talk about Purdue and how well they've been playing on defense.
Oh, Purdue's awesome.
Wisconsin takes on the bottom of the barrel, Purdont, and the Badgers run wild on them Boilermakers, win it 52-6. Lockie in his second start, man, he balled out 359 yards. It is Purdue, so let's not go too crazy. And then, man, I can't even say his name. Kikahuna on his had 2 touchdowns. But, man, they just were delivering.
2 of his 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, 2 of his 3 touchdown passes as Wisconsin boat raced Purdue. Tawi Walker rushed for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns on 19 carries, man. Every time you play Purdue, it's a stat game.
Oh, man. And this is the second time it's been just ungodly numbers. Was it 66 points they lost to Notre Dame? Now 52 against the Badgers. And these are in good offensive teams. The Badgers scored 38 unanswered points, reached the end zone on 5 consecutive drives, and outscored Purdue 31-0 in the second half. Whew.
Yeah. How bad is Purdue, man? Purdue has lost 4 straight games by a combined 184-44. Purdue failed to reach the end zone and went 1-11 on third downs, Beef. 1-11 on third downs.
Yeah.
They had
good thing they fired him.
They fired him before this game, man. They fired Graham Harrell, the offensive coordinator, the week of this game. Obviously, that didn't help at all.
Listen to this stat. Wisconsin outgained Purdue 589 yards to 216, despite losing their running back, Ches Malusi. Didn't they lose Ches Malusi last year to Purdue, against Purdue?
They did, but this one happened in practice.
Yeah, I mean, it was during the week, but still, I mean, losing them twice around the same game, just bad luck for Ches, man. I wish he could get back because he's fun to watch too. Anyway, Wisconsin announced Thursday that Malusi was leaving the team, at least temporarily, to work on his health. So hopefully things get better for Malusi, man.
Hopefully so, man, Beef. You know what time it is, Beef?
I don't know. Is it, manscaping time?
It's manscaping time. Time to trim that landscape, man, and things got dicey for Miami, or should we call them the Cardiac Canes, man? Miami comes back after being down 25 in the third, grabbing 28 to a 3-point advantage to get the comeback and win this one 39-38, man. Halfway through his first season at Miami, Cam Ward has already shown a knack for the dramatics, baby, with these Cardiac Canes. Ward threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Aurora with 26 seconds left. Miami roared back from, like I said, that 25-point deficit in the second half to beat California just a week after rallying back from 10 points down in the fourth to beat Virginia Tech last week. The Cardiac Canes are real.
They did it, man. Cam Ward led 4 straight touchdown drives at the end of the game to spoil what looked like another upset for this Saturday. Them Golden Bears, man, just couldn't do it. Oh, man. Cal got its first game day experience. Game day was there, man, and that place was rocking for the first time, and they were on the verge of their second win over a top 10 team in the past 21 seasons. Oh, they had the game. They had it. They just blew it at the end, and maybe so did the refs.
Maybe. I hate to see a game get ended on a targeting call, but I do believe that was absolutely targeting. I don't understand how that didn't get called. I know you as a Buckeye fan, you've seen Ohio State get some games turned around pretty quickly over some of those calls, and it looked just like any of those plays.
Yeah, this is what I hate, man. If we're gonna have the rule, you're gonna have to do it, and it's gonna have to be consistent because it's not consistent now. I mean, like you said, I would hate for a game to end on a targeting call or to switch momentum just because two heads hit together on accident, But this one, he clearly launched, and went straight to the head of the quarterback. I know
And
he wasn't really.
too.
He wasn't defenseless though, too, because he was running the ball. But you got to call that. I mean, if it's really in the interest of player safety, you got to call it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they got robbed by the rule, but I'm glad to see games not end on calls like that. The problem is we've seen them end that way in the past in many other games. I don't think the rule's the problem. It's the consistency of calling the flag the problem.
Yeah, it's got to suck for those Cal Bear fans. But, there's not a whole lot of them, so they probably won't complain too much.
Guess what? Just stop them on one of those 4 drives where they scored 4 straight touchdowns, and you
For
don't
sure.
have to worry about the refs, but you didn't.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And that's about as real as it gets right there. Let's move on, man. Let's talk about Syracuse and UNLV. Number 25, UNLV. They're in the hunt, man. Trying to get that 12th seed in the playoffs. They're battling it out with Boise State to try to be that number 1 non-power 5 team. And guess what? Friday night thriller. It ended anyway. The Cuse ends the perfect season for UNLV in overtime, and they win it 44-21. Your boy, Kyle McCord, who transferred from Ohio State in the offseason, was 40 of 63 attempts in this game, 355 yards, had 3 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. But man, if you're throwing the ball 63 times, wow.
You're bound to throw a pick. He almost threw another one. The problem with McCord is he throws picks at crucial times in the game, and it's always in these big games. He threw one, and it was right at the end of the game. Almost threw another, but the defender dropped it for UNLV, or he would have lost the game from that pick for sure. It was right over the middle. Believe it was a linebacker that dropped it, but right in his hands, just dropped it, dude. So they pulled it out. Cuse running back Allen powered into the end zone from a yard out in overtime to give Syracuse the 44-41 victory over number 25, UNLV. Allen rushed 19 times for 71 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had 9 catches for 58 yards and 2 more scores. Whew. Man, he had a hell of a day for Syracuse. He is the reason they won this game. McCord was just there throwing the ball way too many times.
You still got to give him up. But he had 3 touchdowns, man.
He had 3 touchdowns, but he should have had 2 picks in the end of the game. Like one, it was just an absolute drop. Like it wasn't even close to anyone on Syracuse. It was just right in the dude's numbers, and he dropped it. And that would have ended the game for UNLV. They should have won the game.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, don't matter, man.
It doesn't, but I don't want McCord on my team, man. Not at the end of a game, not in a tight situation.
Fair enough, man. Let's go to another. Let's go to another top 25 team. Let's do it, man. Let's keep rolling.
Well, let's do it. Did another top 25 team lose?
They did. Louisville, number 22, looked to bounce back after the loss to Notre Dame last week, and well, shit, didn't happen. They met the pesky SMU Mustangs, and they shocked Louisville and win it 37-34. Man, oh man, Mustang quarterback Jennings passed and rushed for career highs. Isaiah Nacobia intercepted an end zone pass with 2:23 left to seal it, and SMU overcame the double-digit lead that Louisville had and won this game.
I'm glad you had to pronounce that dude's name, Isaiah Nacobia. That's a rough one. But, hey, Jennings, after the game, he said, "We showed this is what we can do in the ACC." He passed for 281 yards and rushed for 113. And he also said, hopefully we can continue and get a championship. Man, SMU is bankrolling themselves to be in the ACC. They aren't even getting a payout. Their boosters are like, yo, we want it. We want to be big again. Hey, they're there, man. And they're showing up 4-1. Probably going to be ranked when the rankings come out this time around.
Yeah, I think they will be, man. And they're definitely making a bid to play in that ACC championship game. They keep playing like this, they get their chance.
Here we go. Do we need another commercial before we get to this or what?
You know, maybe, no, I don't think we need another commercial beef. We got a video for them at the end. Not today.
Let's get through it.
Rolling, man. We ain't got much left.
I'm with you.
All right, BIGTEN Backers, quickies are on the line. Little top 25 results. And number 5, Georgia takes down their rival Auburn in a bounce-back victory. Dogs 31, Tigers 13. Tigers did keep it kind of interesting for a little while.
They sure did. But number 12, Ole Miss beats up on South Carolina and wins 27-3 for that redemption from losing to Kentucky last week. Man, I thought maybe Ole Miss would go with their tail between their legs. They come back and pull a stunt like this and totally redeem themselves.
If you were in the preseason looking at this game, you probably had it circled like the rest of the nation. But number 15, Clemson takes down Florida State 29-13. Man, this game was supposed to be the game of this week, but Florida State has been getting pounded on by everyone, just like that old girl you knew from high school.
Oh, I think Florida State's actually in prison right now. That's the way they're getting pounded. They dropped the soap, brother. And actually, it's surprising that they scored that many points, 29-13. That's, decent. They at least tried. That's all I can say for Florida State, man. Oh, yeah, they got to take care of something in the offseason. Anyway, number 16, Iowa State takes care of Baylor, 43-21. Iowa State, man, they are the leader in the Big 12. In my opinion, they're going to win the Big 12.
They are the Big 12 favorite, man. No doubt. No doubt. Looks like they'll be the one to pull away with it, man.
I believe in the preseason I had them in the playoffs, but then I took them out because you talked me into Utah. You kept talking them so hard, and I listened. I should have.
You picked
Iowa
Oklahoma State. No, you picked.
I did pick Oklahoma State, but I had a second person or second team rather in the playoffs from the Big 12, and I think it was Iowa State, and then I took them out and put Utah in. I have to go back and look at that.
It's not over. It's not over.
Yeah. Iowa State, man, all the way.
We're not even halfway through yet, B. But anyways, number 21, 21, Boise State destroyed Utah State 62-30. Broncos are now in the driving seat for that lucrative 12th spot in the playoffs, beef.
Hey, I think Boise State's got it. Ashton Junty is a baller, dude. Absolute baller. We got to look at this. What do you think about the AP poll when it's going to come out later today? You know, it's got to be Texas number 1, right? Ohio State's going to be number 2. But where is everyone else rated? I mean, does Oregon jump up to 4? They probably do. And Penn State being
It's definitely going to be interesting, man.
Because Georgia's ahead of Oregon right now at 5. And, you know, they only dropped 3 spots for losing to Bama. But then Bama gets blown out. Not blown out, but they get beat by Vandy. I mean, it's tough. I don't know what the voters are going to do. Miami's still going to be up there undefeated. Missouri's got to drop like crazy. Michigan, USC drops. Ole Miss.
A&M's going to
LSU.
Move up.
LSU, where do they jump up to? I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to say, man. It's going to be hard to say. LSU's just going to – they're going to move up. That's only because teams around them are losing. I don't think it's anything that they did.
Yeah.
But
I mean, how far would you
we're going to
say?
be 3.
You think Oregon will be 3? They're not going to pass Georgia now, are they? Why would they pass Georgia?
I don't know. I just think they will.
Just because they're beat down Michigan State?
They got punished early for their bad play against the Vandals.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
for me, they've bounced back and they've looked like a lot better team since then. So I think that's the reason why.
I don't think they will. I think they should. I agree with you. I think they should, but I don't think they will. I think they remain at where they jump up to 5 because I think Tennessee falls below and maybe Alabama falls below. I don't know. It's tough.
How does Oregon get punished more for winning than these teams do for losing?
That's a very good question because they're in the SEC and ESPN runs the narrative, man.
I don't know. We shall see. We shall see, man. I think they're gonna land at 3, but I could be wrong.
You want to bet on the bet?
I do not want to bet on the bet. Let's talk about these 12 teams, man. 12 teams remain unbeaten. That's all I got to say, folks. Army and Navy. How about that, man? Army and Navy both undefeated. Miami, we seen survive. They're still undefeated. Pitt was in a bye. They're still undefeated. Don't forget about BYU in that Big 12 race because they still don't have a loss. We talked about Iowa State. They're still undefeated. Liberty, they're at the liberty of playing no one, so they're still undefeated. And then you got a trio in the Big Ten: Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, all undefeated. And the last remaining undefeated in the SEC is Texas. But like we said, Ohio State's playing Oregon next week, so we're going to at least get one more
down to
undefeated
11.
team.
Yeah. And Penn State's got a big game against SC, so between all of those, man, there's not going to be many undefeateds left after next week. And we thought next week was going to be the big week, man. All these major matchups, people are going to go down, everyone's going to watch. But upset Saturday struck last week, yesterday, and man, it made this week so much better than it was going to be.
It always happens on these like snoozer type Saturdays where everybody's like, "Oh, there's no good games." Usually that's exact because the players feel the same way. Oh, it's just another Saturday where we're playing nobody.
Gotta get ready for next week. Yeah.
And boom, lightning strikes, man.
That's why I was really impressed with both Oregon and Ohio State. They were ready, man. They're ready for next week. They know the build-up's coming, and they are both playing out of this world, peaking at the right time. In October is when you want to peak. Let's see what happens. Oh, this is going to be such a good game.
It is, man. That's going to be a monster of a game. I can't wait.
Does the winner of this jump to number 1? Can they?
No,
they take
we
over
have to give
for
that to big
Texas?
SEC winners.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that there's really a chance, I guess, unless Texas loses that
Even if
Ohio State or Oregon.
To me, if Ohio
can go
State
to number
wins
1.
and they beat Oregon, there's probably a chance they jump Texas. Momentarily.
If
because it's on the
momentarily.
road. Because Michigan did take a loss, so that resume win for Texas is not looking as good. So maybe Oregon or Ohio State, if they win soundly, can jump Texas.
Yeah, but Texas still has Georgia and they have Bama, so
That's why I said
temporary.
momentarily. Did you not see the momentarily word?
Hey, man, I ignored that. Talking about what you have in your mouth, man. I don't want to look that way. But Ohio State still has Penn State. They still have Michigan on their radar. So, and Indiana.
Yeah, don't forget about old Indiana.
I think Indiana's going to get screwed the most because all the teams that lost were basically at the top. They're not going to drop below Indiana. They might not even move.
It doesn't even
after
matter.
Going 6-0. Yeah.
AP top 25 is for people like me and you to talk about where people should rank. But guess what? It's 12-team era, and it really doesn't matter.
And it doesn't even really matter till week 8 anyway, really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter till we really get into the season, till teams start playing real good teams.
We could talk about Indiana being 6-0, and it's really good for them. And I'm not trying to take away any of that. But then they could go on a stretch where they lose to Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back weeks, and they maybe lose another one before that. And all of a sudden they got 3 or 4 losses underneath their belt.
And they got Nebraska in 2 weeks.
Yep, exactly.
Got the bye week and then Nebraska, so we're going to see a little bit more about what Indiana's made of with the Fighting Kurt Signettis. Give me a pack of that, man.
I mean,
I love it.
Look how people were shoving this USC Trojan all in their mouth like they were freaking deep-throating like a blonde in a porno, and look how fast that fell apart.
Yeah, fell apart just like that porno, man. You've been watching it too many times.
Hey, what are you going to do?
Got to do something, huh, when you're overseas by yourself.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just saying, put some stock in some lotion. I'm a ginger on a tropical island, so both lotions are getting bought up.
Don't put sunscreen on your dick, man. That'll burn. Well,
all right, dude,
I guess we got to get out of here, man. We're going into a little bit of a rut here. But thanks again, Big Ten Backers. Man, our numbers, our comments on Facebook are getting crazy. Everything's starting to go wild. I actually need to give a couple people a shout out, so give me just a second here. The score predictions on Facebook are going nuts. Couple people that had almost the correct scores I took a picture of, so let me give them a shout out real quick. All right, we had Cora Louise James. She said, I don't know, as long as Ohio State wins 34-7. So she was pretty damn close, right?
It's right there.
And then score prediction here. The only person that picked the Aggies 27 to the Tigers 24. So he won on default because everyone else picked Missouri. All right. That was Johnny Belliam, Bellamy. So got to give a shout out to some these people like getting it correct. So it was pretty impressive that some of these people are making these score predictions and doing well. So keep it up, keep it coming. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on X. Get those subscriptions. Hey man, we got someone in the comments here that I didn't get to. We've had a lot of comments we didn't do. Kyler Carroll, and oh man, I was supposed to give Kyler a heads up too. He had the Ohio State prediction pretty good too, or he had another prediction good too. I got to get to that picture. Where is his at? Sorry, hold on, let me find it.
Struggling.
Oh, also Paul Russell's had a good one. He predicted the Huskies 24-21, so pretty close prediction there. Man, these people, they're getting good at it, though. I tell you what. Some of these predictions are just awesome. I'm rambling. We got to get out of here. Sorry, Kyler. I know he had one, but I lost it. Kyler, what was your prediction, man? Tell me. I know you had one that was really good, but Big Ten Backers, we got to get out of here, man. Great week for college football. We got to get back to it again next week because it's going to be even bigger. There might not be the upset, but there's some big-ass games.
Big show, man. Big show on Thursday for this Oregon-Ohio State game. Hopefully I can actually make it in on this one. But, man, I am excited for next week's billets, man. There's some games, man.
There it was. He got it pretty damn close. Ohio State 35, Iowa 10 for Kyler Carroll, man. Good work. Hey, he was close.
Good job on that score prediction.
Damn. That was about as close as it gets. Only 4 points off total. Way to go, man. Thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for joining us. Big Ten Backers are out. God bless each and every one of you.